Guys, it's Lynn from Infertility Sucks. I took a little long sabbatical. I had spring vacation with family, and then I came back and worked a lot of hours and family graduations and things like that. And now I'm back. Going to do another episode of Infertility Sucks. Today I'm going to talk about identifying fertility signs through cervix changes. It's not going to be something that you're going to think is like, if you've never done it before, you're going to think it's very awkward and strange and weird. But especially as a mother of advanced maternal age, if you really want to achieve a pregnancy, it will give you a cutting edge on your fertility so that you can maximize your make the most of your fertility time, by knowing the little, very, very, what would seem insignificant, it's not. Because once you know all these very little signs that are happening, that gives you an edge on making sure you're hitting a target for your pregnancy to happen. So what I'm going to touch on here are some of the ways of identifying cervix changes, and some of it you might not find very appealing, but it's all part of getting our babies, right? Especially when you're 43 or whatever, and you're really, you're really wanting one. I have a cheat sheet here that I'm referring to. But the first thing you want to look for is just stay aware of, and I'm sure if you're a woman of advanced maternal age, or a young woman, and whatever you may be, but being aware of the wet feeling in your underwear, gets, your fertility, that's your mucus, and if you've been, studying fertility or, researching it at all, you'll know that that's a big part of, getting the sperm to swim very effectively up and, into your uterus and into your tube so that it can fertilize. The mucus is very important. It's a very important sign. Some women have tons of it. Some women have moderate amounts. Some women have very little. And you can always improve it too, nutritionally, to gain more mucus. And there's ways of using Robitussin. It's called guaifenesin, is the drug in Robitussin. And if your quality of mucus, which I'm going to touch on here, is not isn't as good as you need it to be, because you need it to be of a good, like, egg white quality, you can use guaifenesin, Robitussin, and take that. It helped me, I think, achieve my 2 boys at 43 and 45. So that's that. But becoming aware of your wet slipperiness in your underwear is going to be, and counting your days, like, say you have a period and it's about day 10 and you start thinking you might be mid-cycle, and so you can do what's called a digital insertion, which is, yes, going up into your vaginal canal and feeling for the tip of your cervix. And sometimes there's mucus up there that isn't, especially when you're older, that happened to me. It would be up in there, but you didn't have as much of an abundance at 43. So then you go up and harvest it, and it's called harvesting your cervix mucus. It's kind of weird, but I don't know, you get used to it. It's not that bad, it's all good. But you do a digital insertion with your finger, like, say that you're going to go, because, like, your vagina kind of sits backwards like this. Like, it's not straight up and down. It's not like that. It kind of sits backwards towards your rectum. So then you know, you're kind of sliding up there, and here's like your cervix. It feels like the tip of your nose with a slit in it. And there's all things you want to notice about that when you're up in there. If you do this every day, I promise you'll get to know your cervix so well that you noticed even the slightest change. You know, when it's a little softer, when it's a little more open and accepting, like your fingertip, like when you're just becoming, it won't accept anything when you're not fertile at all. When you're starting to get fertile, all of a sudden you'll notice you can get in there about that much. When you're at like your max fertility, you can get in there maybe about that much. And you wouldn't know that unless you went in there and did it. So that's why, you know, I'm here trying to help you with this. And you want to feel all those things about the opening. You also want to feel like, is it like kind of just, you can touch around the slit and kind of just touch around, and you'll feel like, is it soft? Is it hard? Softer cervix is for signs of fertility. You'll feel that ever so slightly happening. Like for me, it was really gradual. I don't know, some women just, as I've talked to other women that were, you know, having kids when I was having them, you know, some had like all of a sudden it was soft one day, and all of a sudden, you know, and I was like, no, for me it's like, you know, real gradual. Everything was real gradual. So, you know, doing that daily, especially when you're not very, you know, familiar with it, it's important, because you'll get to see, you'll really get to see, I promise you, all the characteristics that go on with your individual body. You know, we're all very individual about this. So you want to feel for the tip of the cervix, the softness, the, you know, how far you're able to get in, things like that. Then you also want to milk it when you're going into this. Milking is not hard. It's kind of, that's just what it's called. It's harvesting the cervix. So you go in there, and this you want to do with two fingers. Ladies, I'm sorry. Okay, I don't know, go in there. Here's what I suggest. First you go in there and you know, check for the, you know, in how far you can get in and the softness. Then when you want to go in and harvest, you know, you're going to do that at the same time. Then you got to go in with two fingers. So you're kind of on an angle, like here's your rectum, okay? You're going in on an angle, and you reach your cervix, and you're going to harvest. So you want to separate your fingers a little bit, grab some mucus. That's how you kind of, you know, just, you know, gently take and come back out. When you have it there, separate your fingers. Look at it. Is it cloudy? Is it, does it break apart easily? That's infertile mucus. If you can stretch it, you should be able to stretch. When you got really fertile mucus, you'll be able to stretch that stuff like egg whites. That's what you're looking for, is egg white type of fertile mucus. You can get that stuff to stretch, and it won't break. When you're not, you can get it to where it's just like cotton, you know, and it just, you know, it's little, you know, pieces that aren't going to go anywhere, and it's like, it looks like cotton, or maybe it might look like it's just white and cloudy. And then when it's very fertile, it's stretchy, and you can really get that baby to stretch. So that's the milking cervix aspect. And what was the last thing I wanted to touch on here? So I got the digital insertion, daily checks, and milking. I think I've got it all. I think I did it. So I know some of you might think that that's really gross, and I don't know. Just do it. It's an empowering thing, because you know what? I want to tell you something right here. 2 weeks ago, I'm 56. I haven't had a period in 3 years. I'm 56. I started having menstrual cramps, and I was like, what's this about? And I've had those very infrequently at times, here and there, but they were like all like for 2 weeks, like a lot of the time. And I thought, geez, maybe I should go to the doctor. I really, if you know me, I'm not one to go to doctors because I'm more nutritionally based and alternative health, and that's been my background for my whole life. And I just feel like I know myself by now, but I thought, maybe I should. I don't know, So I would go in and I'd do digital checks to see, I don't know, is there a tumor up there or anything? Because I know doctors feel for that. Nothing there. But guess what I felt? I felt a soft cervix. It was soft, and I know that feeling for my own cervix because I've been there and checked this out. Hey, stop. And so that's at 56. My body was having a mock cycle. Now, if I wouldn't have known to do that, Lily, no. I'm sorry, but I said so many nice things here. I didn't want to just hang up on you. But Lillian, no. There's a chipmunk outside. I'm sorry. There's a chipmunk out there. Lily, no. Let Mama finish. Okay, so here's my point. At 56, I would have had to pay a lot of bills to, they would have had me worked up for this, that, ultrasounds, all kinds of stuff. I went in there and I saw that my body was doing it was a couple weeks. So your body's trying. Like I said, for me, it was a gradual thing. My fertility would come on real gradually. I'd ovulate later around day 16. So my body, as I see it, as I observed it and went in and checked, I had this soft cervix with a little bit of mucus around it. It wasn't real, but it was my body going into a mock cycle at 56. It wasn't going to go anywhere, it wasn't going to result in anything, of course. Well, thank God. But, so just those are the things it's empowering to have that knowledge, is what I'm trying to say. So, make sure you learn that, and I'll be back soon. And till then, I hope you all get pregnant.